Apple's first foldable iPhone might be closer than ever, and if the latest leaks are accurate, it's not just another new iPhone. It's a complete shift in Apple's strategy, a new Ultra tier, and a direct challenge to the foldable phones that have been dominating the market for years. The name being tossed around right now is the iPhone Ultra Fold, though some leaks still call it the iPhone Fold or simply the iPhone Ultra. Either way, the message is the same. Apple is reportedly preparing a luxury foldable iPhone built with premium materials, a high-end design and the kind of polish Apple fans expect. But there's a catch. Actually, two big ones: production complexity and an eye-watering price. So in this script, we're breaking down everything the iPhone Ultra Fold leak is suggesting: the design, the rumored colors and finishes, the expected launch timeline, limited availability, price expectations, and the major engineering hurdles Apple still has to overcome before this foldable iPhone becomes a real product you can buy. Let's start with the headline. The iPhone Ultra Fold could change everything, if Apple can actually ship it. Because unlike a normal iPhone refresh, a foldable iPhone isn't just a new chip and a new camera button. A foldable phone forces Apple to reinvent the entire structure of the device: the display stack, the hinge, internal layout, durability testing, thermal management, battery configuration, and even iOS behavior when switching between folded and unfolded modes. And that's exactly why the iPhone Ultra Fold matters. If Apple gets it right, it could instantly redefine what premium foldable means and pull the entire industry toward a new standard. Now let's talk design, because this is where the leaks are getting especially interesting. According to recent reports, the iPhone Ultra Fold is being positioned as a true luxury device, something that looks and feels distinct from every other foldable on the market. Leaked images tied to accessory components, specifically camera protector parts, hint at premium finishes that sound very Apple. Two standout options being discussed are a polished silver finish and a deep, dark blue finish that looks more exclusive than typical navy tones we've seen before. What's notable is that earlier rumors pointed toward a dark gray or graphite-style color, but now the dark blue is the one gaining traction, suggesting Apple may be aiming for a more recognizable hero color to separate the Ultra Fold from the standard iPhone lineup. And if Apple is really going for an Ultra identity here, that makes sense. Apple doesn't just want a foldable iPhone that exists, it wants one that advanced engineering eliminates the crease, across the side-mounted Touch ID seamless, a device that signals status, design taste, and next-generation tech all in one. But design on a foldable isn't just about colors. The real design story is the hinge and the display, because in a foldable phone, the hinge is the product. It determines whether the phone opens smoothly or feels stiff, whether it holds its angle reliably or flops around over time, whether there's a visible gap when closed, whether dust and microparticles get pulled into the mechanism, whether the display develops stress marks after thousands of folds. The hinge is the part that decides whether a foldable feels like the future or a fragile experiment, and leaks suggest Apple is taking that hinge problem extremely seriously, possibly even redesigning and retesting more than expected. Which brings us to the next big topic: timing. So when is the iPhone Ultra Fold expected? Right now, leaks point toward a major reveal at Apple's September event, most likely the September 2026 iPhone launch window, alongside the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max. From a marketing standpoint, this is the perfect stage: maximum attention, maximum press, and the biggest annual moment in Apple's calendar. But unveiled and available to buy are two very different things. Multiple reports suggest the iPhone Ultra Fold release date could slip beyond the event due to production delays, specifically tied to the foldable display supply and the hinge mechanism manufacturing. And that shouldn't surprise anyone who's watched the foldable market closely. Foldable displays are difficult to produce at high yields. Hinges require microscopic precision across multiple moving parts. And if Apple is targeting a crease-minimized or even crease-free looking display experience, that adds another layer of complexity. The tighter the tolerances, the harder it is to scale. Apple's reputation is built on shipping products that feel finished on day one. So if the iPhone Ultra Fold doesn't meet Apple's durability and reliability targets, Apple won't rush it out just to be in the market, and that leads to a very Apple-like strategy: announce early, build demand, then ship when it's ready, rather than when the calendar says it should. Now let's talk availability, because this could be one of the biggest frustrations for potential buyers. Leaks indicate the iPhone Ultra Fold could launch with limited market availability, potentially starting in the United States first. After that, expansion to additional regions, possibly including China, could follow in later waves. But several other markets may be excluded from the first launch phase, including Australia and others. And if you've followed Apple's launches, this kind of staggered rollout usually signals one thing: supply constraints. Apple can absolutely manufacture at scale when everything is stable. But with a first-generation foldable iPhone, supply is almost always the challenge, especially if Apple wants premium build quality and consistent durability across every unit. Launching in fewer countries first also reduces risk. It gives Apple time to monitor real-world usage, track returns, spot failure patterns early, and fine-tune production before going wider. It's a cautious strategy, but it can also limit hype conversion into actual sales, because global demand won't be met immediately. Now here's the part that will grab the most attention: price. If you're expecting the iPhone Ultra Fold to cost a bit more than the Pro Max, think bigger. Much bigger. Analysts and leaks suggest the iPhone Ultra Fold price could land at a level that turns it into one of the most expensive smartphones on the market. Some estimates point toward around $2,600 USD, which could translate to roughly $3,690 AUD, depending on regional pricing. That price tag isn't just premium, it's an entirely different category of consumer. At that level, Apple isn't trying to sell a foldable iPhone to everyone. Apple is aiming at early adopters, high-income buyers, creators, executives, and people who simply want the most advanced iPhone possible, regardless of cost. And this pricing also hints at Apple's product ladder strategy. Instead of replacing the Pro Max, the Ultra Fold would sit above it, like a new flagship tier that makes everything else look more mainstream. In other words, Apple isn't just adding a foldable. Apple is expanding the iPhone hierarchy. But again, the iPhone Ultra Fold can only justify that kind of price if it delivers something that feels dramatically better than current foldables. So what exactly is holding Apple back right now? Production challenges. The most consistent theme across iPhone Ultra Fold leaks is that Apple is still working through major manufacturing hurdles, especially around production verification, durability, and consistency. The foldable display has to survive repeated folding without degrading image quality, touch response, brightness uniformity, or structural stability. The hinge has to remain smooth and strong after months and years of use, not just in lab tests, but in real pockets, real dust, real heat, real cold, and real everyday behavior. And if Apple is trying to minimize the crease, that likely means more advanced display layering, tighter hinge geometry, and stricter alignment requirements, all of which are expensive and difficult to mass produce. There's also the software side. A foldable iPhone can't just run iOS like a normal phone and call it a day. Apple would need polished transitions between display modes, intelligent app scaling, multitasking improvements, better split-screen behaviors, and UI elements that make sense on a larger canvas without turning the experience into something messy or complicated. If Apple does this right, the iPhone Ultra Fold could make other foldables feel less refined. If Apple does it wrong, it becomes an expensive device that feels like iOS is stretching itself to fit a new form factor. Now let's address the naming confusion, because it's all over the leaks. Some sources call it iPhone Ultra, others call it iPhone Fold, and now we're seeing iPhone Ultra Fold being used more often, as if Apple might combine both ideas. Ultra as the tier, Fold as the category. That would be a smart branding move. Fold instantly tells consumers what it is. Ultra tells them it's the most premium version. And Apple loves clear naming when it enters a new segment, especially if it wants to separate the product from the traditional iPhone lineup. And finally, the bigger question: why does the iPhone Ultra Fold matter so much? Because Apple entering the foldable market isn't just another product launch, it's a market signal. When Apple commits to a new category, developers pay attention. Accessory makers shift priorities. Carriers build new promotions. Competitors adjust their roadmaps. And consumers who are waiting on the sidelines suddenly decide that foldables are real because Apple validated the segment. If Apple can ship a durable, premium, high-performance foldable iPhone with an ultra-level build, it could raise expectations overnight. It could pressure competitors to improve hinges, reduce creases, upgrade software experiences, and deliver longer-lasting foldable displays.